Hey creative friends, welcome back to the channel. Today I am diving into another scrapbooking session. This is with a template by Scrapping with Liz and a kit by Alif Sahin Designs. Whether you're a seasoned scrapper or just starting out, come scrap along with me. Maybe you'll see some tips and maybe you'll see a better way I could do something. The template set that I'm using today is the documented template set, and it's actually intended to be more of like a weekend review, or you could really use it for any type of a review. But for me, I really liked this template that had the vertical as well as the horizontal page photo spot, and I knew that that would work for the two pictures that I had. And then the kit that I'm using today is Guilty Pleasures Books. I am a sucker for books and cameras, and I buy almost all of those kits. This one is got some really nice little patterns in it, and then it's also got some really cute elements that go along with books and reading. And it's got a nice little stamp set, which can be fun to manipulate the colors as well as the size of the things. So what I did here is when I pulled my picture in, I actually hadn't clicked on the picture spot. So you can see in the layers panel, it pulled it in all the way at the bottom. So I had to move it all the way back up to the top to be on top of the photo that I actually wanted it on top of. This is actually the front of my Kindle. It's my current Kindle case that I absolutely love and adore because I would love to have a library that's so big that I need a ladder inside of it. When I did the second picture, I made sure to click the photo spot first. And this is a random selection of what's currently in my to be read list or that I am actively reading. I never know what exactly will come up, but that's the beauty of my Kindle. So I positioned that, and even though they are both uh, photos that we're taking vertical, the one that's the books I thought would work just fine being horizontal. So because I just wanted to catch the pictures without focusing so much on the outer part of the Kindle. I knew I wanted to fill in the other photo spots with some of the pocket cards that were included in this kit. So I looked for the ones that had the sayings or that had the colors that I really liked, and I just made it small. I knew that I was going to go ahead and change that background where the white box that's around it to something else later, but for the moment I just wanted to get a feel for how the page looked. I really liked this cute little sticker, and so I knew I wanted to use it. I just wasn't sure where. Then I realized that that book had a really funky shadow on my photo, so that was the perfect way to hide it, so it doesn't see the shadow anymore. One of the cool things that comes with this particular collection is a stamp set has the ABR brush files, which work with Photoshop. Not sure which other programs they work with. So I decided to go ahead and load those in because I noticed there was a really cute little saying that I wanted to have as part of this layout. And to load it in, you just go to the tools, you hit new brush, actually load brush, and then you find it. And once you open it, open up the kit, it's the only file in there that works because it's the only file in there that was an ABR file. So I was able to quickly grab that and load it up. Sometimes watching myself, I'm like, why does it take so long for me to do that? And then I remember that I have other distractions happening when I'm trying to scrap, like people walking up to me. So here I was just showing you real quickly. I like to have both the brush name on as well as the brush um, I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically what the brush looks like. I don't like to have the brush stroke on because I don't usually stroke my brushes when it comes to things like this, and the stroke just makes them all look kind of messy and long and not much to it. Brush stroke is really good if you are using more of a painting feature, but I find it doesn't work as well with the typical brushes that I use. And so I was looking for the one that I wanted, and then I made it much, much bigger. I actually made it too big. And one of the things that I do, and I did it wrong there, and so I corrected myself, is I like to put the brushes on a separate layer because that way I can manipulate them better than I can if I have them on, like attached to the photo or something. I knew I didn't want this brush to be white because it doesn't show up very well on the picture. So what I decided to do was actually bring in one of the papers from the kit that has like all of the colors. So I know I'm not going to use this particular paper as my background, but because it has the green and the red and the pink, it gave me something to use the eyedropper on so that I could pick up whatever color that I wanted to do for my brush set. tried out the blue and it didn't show up the way I wanted it to. And so then I grabbed the green and decided at that point to rotate my brush. I set it up in my settings to be able to rotate using the arrow keys, so that's why it just looks like it's magically moving. I'm just using the arrow keys on my keyboard to turn it. And then I decided it would fit perfectly in that dark space on my picture because nothing on top of the book picture was working for me color-wise. And then I just decided to line it up. I could have clipped it to that book photo to make sure that the line was exact, but I was okay with it just being an eyeballed line there. And then I went ahead and deleted that back photo, that back paper because like I said, I knew I didn't want to use that as my background paper. I just wanted to be able to pull all of the colors off of it. And this is where I kind of got a little bit of paper paralysis because I couldn't decide which papers that I was looking at that I wanted to bring in and use for this particular layout. I'm going to speed up this next little part. The whole layout took me just under 30 minutes to complete from start to finish, but there's not much that's happening here. I just kind of go back and forth on a bunch of different papers. I brought in a couple of different elements. I ended up changing out the card that I put in the top. I brought in one that I really liked because it said this is where the story begins, and I really liked that. And then I realized that the color on it was just a little too close to that background color I was using. And I wanted to bring in a little bit more of that red color, that bright red, because I have that OMG sticker at the bottom and then that rose. And so by bringing in that other top color, being the more red color, they just kind of come all together. And then I replaced the week with the books, which just worked out perfectly. And like I said, I went back and forth on the colors and which papers to use so many times. I'd bring it in, I'd delete it, I'd bring it in, I'd delete it. And then I realized that it was sometimes other things that were bothering me. Like I had that cream color down at the bottom, and I realized I'd rather have it be the blue so that there's a continual blue throughout the layout as well as that pink color throughout the layout. And then you can see with the parentheses, I actually just clipped a different color paper. I clipped the pink paper to them. I don't always change out elements in a template. Sometimes when they're basic ones like parentheses, I'll leave them and just color change it to fit what my kit is. And then you get a nice pretty close up where I add current Kindle case. I've actually gone through a couple of Kindle cases because they do break. Like, I don't know if you know that, but if you use them enough and take them out and about with you all the time, you will eventually break them. And I used the eyedrop picker again to pick up that color so that the colors all flowed together. And then it was time for my journaling. So for the journaling, again, I used the eyedrop picker. I was trying to pick up that slightly brown creamy color because I knew it would show up well on the blue, but it also would fit in with the color scheme of the rest of it. Usually I default to a brown or gray for journaling, but sometimes when I'm writing on a color paper, I like to change it up and match the kit of the colors in the kit instead. Once I started writing, I realized I had a lot that I wanted to write. For this particular one, my story is basically just about how I used to always carry paper books everywhere with me, but now I can actually just carry my Kindle, so I feel like I still get to take a stack of books anywhere I go. It just is one simple little thing that goes in and out and doesn't take a lot to move around, which I appreciate now. So once I put all of my journaling in, there was a piece of word art that I really liked that I wanted to add at the top. And so I brought that piece in, and then I realized that with that piece in, it didn't fit as well as I wanted it to visually. So I used a little trick where I just shifted these out, and the easiest way to shift it out is to select it, and then I hold control and use my arrow keys to just nudge those pieces out and give it enough room that it fit in there perfectly the way that I wanted it to and helped balance everything else. This is my completed layout. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you got some crafty time in for yourself.